Okay, Speed City fans, as we start to get ready for the 2021 Formula One race weekend here at COTA in Austin, Texas, I am reminded of all the young Americans with aspirations of doing what Cameron Dass did a couple of years ago, which is, of course, win Formula 4. He's now racing in the Formula Euro Open Series as well as FIA F3 and has one more round to go in Catalonia. Cameron, on a weekend coming up like Formula One, we're always looking to the future and we're always looking to young Americans. There's a lot of news out there right now. I just wanted us to catch up with you and find out how's it going in Europe.
Yeah, everything's been going really, really well this year. I put full focus into Euroformula this year with Motorpark again. So I knew the team well. I know, I understand the car. We have the new F320, which is an absolute weapon of a car. And, I've been out there winning races and leading the championship. So it's gone exactly to plan.
Yeah, and in fact, you and Jack Crawford doing a heck of a job. By my calculations, you've got the majority of the wins in the Euro Open Series.
Yeah, I have 7 wins, I believe, so far this season. I'm not sure what Jack's on, but yeah, we've been I think we've been killing it, safe to say.
Yeah, and I'm right in saying that you are, one hand on the trophy kind of thing. You've got one more round left next weekend, same weekend as Formula One, but it'll be the final round of the championship, and you've got a 63-point lead, I believe?
That's 63.
So really, given that there's only 75 plus on the table, it's not a done deal, but you're really pretty close, yeah?
Yeah, mathematically speaking, I think it'd be pretty hard to lose it at this point. But, I'm not going to be complacent about it. And I'm going to go for, the best possible results I can get in every single race. So,
well, look, congratulations. It is only a matter of time. Winning the European Formula Open Championship, a major step. Where do you put that? Because you've won a lot in your career. Where does that sit?
I think it's my greatest achievement so far in my career. Jack's a great driver. Louis a great driver. Chem's a great driver. There are actually so many really talented drivers who have all had a chance to fight for wins or at least, give me a hard time. So every single race was hard fought, which is even more rewarding for me. It's been very close between Louis and I in terms of championship numbers, really until this past weekend. We both had our fair share of bad luck, but we've been racing really hard all the way through. So I think winning this championship would really mean a lot for me in terms of my personal development and everything. So it's been a great year and I've learned a lot.
And what would you say? Obviously you say it's your greatest achievement up to date, which is I can well understand. But what next? You did some FIA F3, or did you do all of the season?
I did all of the FIA F3 season last year. Yeah.
So what's the plan, to do that next year as well, or both again, or what's the plan?
No, the plan next year is Formula 2. Obviously that's going to be sponsorship permitting, but we're working with a few of our partners now on securing that and making that a possibility. So, I'm going go big or go home, basically. So F2 has been, it's been a goal of mine for the last 2 or 3 years, but I was waiting until, I had things I needed to work on, on things on the sponsorship side as well. And I think all of those are kind of aligning at just the right time to be able to do it next year.
So, how big a leap is Formula 2 from where you are in Formula 3, size of car-wise?
I think it's going to be a pretty substantial leap. I don't think it's going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. One, we're going to have to be dealing with much more tire deg, which I got an experience with in International 3 last year. But really working with the Pirellis is a whole different, sort of style of driving. And then on top of that, we have longer races as well. We have pit stops. There's a bit more strategy involved. But those are all the things that I think I'm going to find really interesting and being able to use my brain outside of just driving fast. So I'm looking forward to the challenge, but for sure it will be a challenge.
And what about your own racecraft and your own development? We saw you obviously, or I saw you both in Toyota and of course F4, but how do you feel that you have now grown as a driver?
I think I've grown tremendously since I was racing in TRS. I used to be I think I had some natural speed early on, but I definitely didn't have the racecraft because I guess I skipped out on karting, which is where a lot of other drivers ended up developing it. So it took me a long time to be comfortable to just know how to place the car and time the moves and everything. But now I'm in the position where I feel like my racecraft is very, very strong. And also, I think I've really improved my wet driving as well. I've had 2 wet wins so far this year, and both races were in very, very poor conditions as well. So I'm really proud that I've made big steps in that department.
And have you come across, we mentioned Jack Crawford, have you come across any of the other Americans racing in Europe, like Logan Sargent and so on?
I think so. Logan was in International F3 with me last year, although I think we had one race at Silverstone where we were battling each other quite hard. But other than that, he was in a Prema car, so he was pretty much at the opposite end of the grid from where I was at the time. So, that's the extent of the interaction I've had with Logan. But yeah, he's doing very, very well this year.
And how about Juan Manuel Correa facing his demons? Pretty impressive to A, come back to F3, but B, race at Spa and keep going.
Absolutely. I mean, it's pretty inspiring to say the least. I mean, Juan and I were good friends when we were together in TRS in 2018. So, for him to be able to come back from something like that is really impressive. And not only that, he's really not doing bad at all considering. So, incredibly inspiring.
Well, I don't need to tell you, Kyle Kirkwood's killing it over here in Indy Lights, and his name has been mentioned with Andretti because he currently races for Michael Andretti and has won the Indy Lights Championship. A lot of talk about that, Andretti. What are they saying in Europe about Michael Andretti going to Formula One?
I've heard the rumors, same as you. As far as I know, they're just rumors, and there's a lot of people, a lot of other drivers in contention for, let's say, that last Alfa Romeo seat. But I've heard that Andretti's put in the bid to buy the team, which I think would be great for the sport. We need another American team. I think one isn't necessarily enough, and Andretti has the brand name and the recognition to, I think, convert a lot of Americans who are maybe on the fence about watching Formula One to actually watching it full time. And I think Andretti's has the number one priority of putting an American in that seat as well, or at least in one of the seats. So I think that would be incredible for the sport.
And is that still your intention, your hope? Obviously, Formula 2 is a lot of learning to do. It could be a couple of years away, but is Formula 1 still your goal?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think Formula 2 is a necessary step to get there, which is why I'm going there despite the challenge. But, if it takes me 1 or 2 or 3 years, in F2, I'm going to go for it. But F1's been the goal ever since I started this endeavor. So, I'm not giving up until it's not physically an option anymore.
Let me ask you something. How do you go about, your results speak for themselves. You're leading the championship. You're about to take the title. That's what team managers notice. But when you're in a paddock or whatever during the FIA, F3 weekends, do you go and meet people like Gunther Steiner or try to get your name out there through PR or whatever?
No, well, it's been quite difficult, I'd say, the last 2 years with COVID and everything. I mean, pretty much all the teams have been within their own bubbles. And the Euroformula Championship, apart from the first race weekend we had in Portimao, we weren't with the F1 grid, right? So it's even harder to get into those sort of circles if you're not there, at least racing on the race weekends. But even considering that, when I was there last year, you couldn't even go and speak to someone from another F3 team for a long period of time. I don't know if that's changed, but it is definitely difficult to break into those circles.
We at Speed City, we're always keen on trying to keep up with the Americans and obviously wishing them forward, giving them publicity where we can, like yourself. Is there any we've forgotten to talk about that are over there? I mean, Kaylin Frederick, another one that we haven't mentioned yet.
Yeah, Kaylin, if I'm not mistaken, won British F3.
He did, yes.
Was it last year or this year?
Last year, yeah.
Last year, yeah. And that's right. He's doing FIF3 with I think Carlin this year. And he absolutely killed it in British F3. And I think FIF3 proves a tall order. It's not easy to go into their first year, even though it's in theory it's just a race car, but there's all that extra tire management element and a bigger grid as well. So you have qualifying is a big issue as well with finding space. So it's a difficult series, but I have no doubt that in his second year, which I imagine he's going to do another year of F3, I have no doubt he's going to do really well.
When you look back now at the opportunities for what's happened to Kirkwood, Kiffin Simpson now on the verge of winning his championship, and of course F4, a chance to move up and get a scholarship. Things are moving quite quickly here. Do you miss the American scene a little bit, because the opportunities, as Kirkwood has shown, are very good? I mean, the chance for the FR champion to go to Japan, Josh Carr working at that, but it looks as though Simpson's going to wrap that up. What are your thoughts on the American scene?
I mean, yeah, there's plenty of opportunity going around. That's always been a great positive about the American scene is, one, there's prize money behind it, which allows you to move to the next step, which doesn't really exist in Europe so much. So yeah, it's very enticing, and I 100% could see myself being back in the American scene, in the future. It's just right now F1's my goal, and I think I'm in the best place to be doing that at the moment. But yeah, I mean, all the best to Kyle, because he's really paving the way for, the road to Indy ladder. And he's showed that if you are successful at every single level, you will get to IndyCar, or at least it looks like he's going to get to IndyCar. So, props to him.
Yeah, no kidding. Obviously next weekend, familiar place to you, the Circuit of the Americas, and a big event. I'm sure you'd like to be there, but you're busy winning your own championship. Any thoughts for the young guys following in your footsteps on F4? What kind of a theater that will be for them?
Yeah, I mean, I actually went to the F4 COTA race, I want to say in 2017 or 18. I can't remember exactly. I was doing some coaching for, one of my ex-teammates, actually. And that event was just incredible. I mean, I wish I could go to COTA every year, but for some reason, there's just always one of my races that overlaps. But it's definitely the best F1 event that I've ever been to. So all the best to the F4 guys, but you got to keep it clean, because I think it's over 30 cars on the grid, if I'm not mistaken. It's difficult to do so, but it's one of those survival races. So if you can make it to the end, I think you're going to have a decent result.
Now, more importantly, in Formula One, there's a championship on the line. What's your take? Verstappen's got the lead, but only slightly. Hamilton's got the record at COTA. The Mercedes is a missile in a straight line. How do you see the Battle of COTA panning out, bumps and all?
Well, that's a difficult question. I think Mercedes is going to end up having the edge. Pace-wise, I have a feeling. I think Red Bull will be really quick in the high-speed sections. I think they're very good on their aero balance this year, better than Mercedes. But I think performance-wise, Mercedes is still edging out. So my guess is that Hamilton's going to end up clinching the championship in the end. I think Mercedes over time has always been more consistent at scoring points. And I think reliability-wise, they're more likely to come on top in the end. But Verstappen's giving it us all. I mean, you got to give him credit in what is maybe at the beginning of the season, they were more on even terms. But I think at this point, Red Bull is the inferior car, and Verstappen's still, putting in the results.
It's interesting. I mean, I know it's very early to ask, but do you have a team that you would like to race for because of their ethos or the way they're set up, or their just the way they go about racing in Formula One? Do you have a favorite team?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer, because I only know from the outside perception of how these teams actually are. And I don't know if that the perception is the same as, the reality of how these teams actually operate. But at least from, the outside looking in, it seems to me that Mercedes, clinical nature is probably, it seems very efficient to me, let's say. I mean, I think that they ended up changing the approach in F1 from, they, much like Michael Schumacher was maybe the first driver to treat physicality and training very seriously. I think they were the first ones to treat the Formula One team as a major business and as a corporation. And for that, they ended up creating a much more efficient process that ultimately produced a faster race car.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's pretty inspiring. Yeah.
But you'd be happy drive for any race, any.
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to name one, because if you don't get that one, you'd be upset. Well, listen, let's sum up by, again, talking about where you are. We're talking on the eve, effectively, of your final round at Catalonia in Barcelona. 3 races to go, but you really do have one hand on the trophy. How's that going to feel, and how accomplished does that make you feel?
I think it will feel pretty special because it's been a difficult couple of years where I was working through issues on my end with the driving that, at one point felt like I wasn't going to break through the barriers, but all of a sudden a light bulb went on. I flipped the switch, and now it's game time. So I'm ready for the next level, and there were a lot of people who sacrificed a whole bunch to make sure that I could at least get to this level that I'm at now and win the championship. So I want to serve all those people by finishing the job and committing to this championship. So yeah, it's really nice when everything starts to align at once, and it's really rewarding for all the people that are involved. There's so many people behind the scenes to make sure that I'm able to do what I'm doing and to follow my dream ultimately. So it's just, it makes me happy to be able to do them proud.
I'm so happy that we can talk to you now because we've known each other a while. I've followed your career, and we keep saying it's great to have a circuit. It's great to have 2 Grand Prix now, and potentially 2 Formula One American teams now. So the odds are looking good. And would you tell our audience that you're one of those guys that should be remembered as one of those guys looking for either an American seat in Formula One or just a seat representing America?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to do my best to represent my country in one of the most illustrious sports in the world. So 100%, I want to be that guy.
Great talking to you, my friend. Listen, last but not least, tell everybody, because there are some who will be watching this who aren't familiar with what you do. Out of sight is out of mind when you're in Europe. So tell everybody your social and how they can watch you and how they can keep up with how your career is going.
So my Instagram is just @CameronDoss, and that's probably the best place, especially during race weekends, to kind of get live updates with what's going on. And then I also have a YouTube channel, which is just Cameron Doss Racing. I'm actually going to be uploading a video this weekend. So by the time this comes up, I think a new video should be released based on Monza. So I basically try and go like in depth into what happened in each race weekend. What was I actually thinking? What was the strategy that you wouldn't have seen otherwise just watching the race live? So I think there's some interesting things that race fans will really get a kick out of. So yeah, feel free to check it out.
Well, listen, we in the Speed City fraternity, very, very proud of what you're achieving. Congratulations. And we'll hopefully talk to you again after it's all over and we can reflect a bit more. And maybe we'll know a little bit more about what's going on in the wacky world of Andretti and everybody else. And it'll all become a little bit clearer. But am I right in saying the plan for next year is Formula 2? So you will very much be on our radar.
That is definitely my plan. So, appreciate you for supporting me, and all the best.
Thank you, Cameron. Appreciate it.